Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here this evening. We're going to go ahead and just start off with just a few announcements as we get started for the presentation. So to start off today, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more. Oh, sorry, as I got to go back a slide. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how the format's set up today. So first and foremost, we cannot see or hear you, so do not worry if you're looking for your camera or your microphone button. I promise you are off. This is a webinar format, so you're only going to be able to see the presenters as they're talking today. But a big part of the presentation today is hopefully that you're asking lots of questions and you're getting to know a little bit more. So please use that Q&A function that's at the bottom of the screen. When you type in the questions, they'll go directly to the presenters and then they'll answer them during their session. If they don't get to the questions, they'll talk to you a little bit more how they'll follow up with that. The other thing for you to consider is that there's lots of more sessions for you to explore, so we would encourage you to go to IACAC.org and register for any of those sessions that you're interested in. But if you're unable to attend a session, know that there will be recordings available as well. So if you even like to go back and see this one today again and get more information or catch up on something you missed, you can do that, or you can see other sessions that maybe you weren't able to register for. So without further ado, I'm going to go and head it over. Oh my goodness, as I can't talk today. I'm going to hand it over to our presenters. And so take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Allison, you want to take us away?
That sounds great. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We are from Hope College and excited that you're taking the time tonight to learn a bit more about Hope, and we hope that it's helpful for you. So my name is Allison Risto, and I am one of the Chicagoland area regional representatives with Hope College. I'm a 2018 grad of Hope, and I also am from the northwest suburbs of Chicago. So I graduated from high school here and then went on to Hope College after that. I'll be working with students in the northwest suburbs, North Shore, Evanston and Skokie, Rockford, and the Quad Cities. And then here's the rest of the team.
Allison, also, it was not lost on me that pun that you threw out on that slide. That was nice. The hope and
Thank
the
you.
hope. I'm going to steal that from you. Hi, everybody. My name is Skylar Adams. I am one of the associate directors of admissions and a part of the Chicago regional team. I've been doing admissions work for a while, long enough that I was actually Allison's admissions representative. So, I've been in the game for a little bit. And I'm a 2013 graduate of Hope. I work with students in the city of Chicago and also some students from the northwest suburbs as well too. So glad that y'all are here and excited to chat with you.
Awesome, thanks y'all. I'm Angelique Gaddy. I also go by Jiki. So I'm a 2017 graduate of Hope College, and I'm working in the city of Chicago, south suburbs and west suburbs. So I'll be monitoring the Q&A today, so make sure you guys have some awesome questions for us.
Awesome. And with that too, we'd love to start with hearing your questions. So I know this is a crazy time in a lot of your lives. For many of you, it's probably your senior year and it's not going the way that you think it would go. And here you are trying to find a college from your living room. So I'm sure you have a lot of big questions, whether that's about the college search in general or specifically about Hope. So we'd love for you to open up that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and start getting used to using that tonight. Type in a big question that you have that you hope's answered during the presentation that you want us to talk about later too. So make sure you go ahead and do that. We're excited to see your questions come through. Awesome. So tonight we'll be talking through a high-level overview of Hope, starting with academics, then on to social life and the admissions process. So if you haven't had any experience with Hope before, you'll walk away at least with some nuts and bolts. But to start, in case you haven't visited our campus yet, we'd love to tell you a little bit about where we're located. So Hope College is located in Holland, Michigan, which is about 3 hours away from where we are in the Chicagoland area. If you're from the Chicagoland area, just around Lake Michigan over to the state that looks like a mitten. And Hope is located right about here. So people do that all the time. That's kind of how you point out where you're at in Michigan. So we are 10 minutes away from Lake Michigan at Holland State Park, which has this big red lighthouse, super iconic. And then just a block away from downtown Holland on 8th Street. So our campus runs about 9th Street to about 15th Street. So downtown is seriously steps away from where you'll be taking classes. It's full of coffee shops and restaurants, some of my favorite shopping in the world, a farmer's market, a movie theater, all just steps away from our campus. So much to do in downtown Holland.
Awesome. I'm biased. I love Holland. I grew up in Holland. I lived in Holland for the first, 22 years of my life before coming to Chicago. And I think Allison's onto something. It's pretty great. I'm going to talk a little bit about academics, because I know this is an important part of your college search, maybe the biggest part of it. So I want to talk a little bit about how this plays out at Hope. Now, when I talk about academics at Hope College, I like to use this metaphor of having these 3 buckets when you come to campus. When you apply to Hope, we actually look at every student coming in as being undecided. So even if you come to me and you're like, Skylar, I for sure want to be a bio major on the pre-med track. That's great. I have full confidence you're going to do that, but we do know things change, right? When I came to Hope, I thought I was going to be an elementary school teacher. I'm assuming none of you are 6 or 7 years old, so you can probably see I've changed gears a little bit. And that happens, right? Things change. And we want to give you the opportunity to get adjusted, to get your feet wet before you have to lock into a major. And that doesn't mean you can't start taking courses for that academic area, but you've got some time before you have to officially declare. But once you do, and once you start taking these classes, that's what fills up this first bucket, those major specific requirements. And this is going to be the bulk of your academic experience. In the second bucket, you're going to have these liberal arts requirements. So what it means to have a liberal arts education is that you're going to leave Hope a really well-rounded student. You're going to have the opportunity to take courses in a lot of different areas that are really going to round out your education at Hope. We're living in really unprecedented times right now, and I think one of the big takeaways that we can pull from this era that we're living in is that life changes quickly. And the jobs of today might not look exactly like the jobs of tomorrow. The work that I do on a daily basis looks really different than the work I did even 5-6 months ago. That's the beauty of a liberal arts education, is you're going to learn to be adaptable. You're going to learn these critical thinking skills. You're going to learn how to be a lifelong learner. And I think that's what's going to make you adaptable when you enter into the workplace. Now, with these liberal arts courses, it's not that every student takes the same class. It's not like we have these prescriptive general education requirements, but rather you've got categories with options to choose from. So for example, I was an English major at Hope. Math and science, not my jam. So for my science with a lab course, I took a class called Science and Technology in Your Everyday Life. This was a really applicable approach to the sciences. So like I wrote a paper on how a Keurig coffee machine works. I was able to take apart a car engine and put it back together. If you knew anything about me, you would think Hope College must be the most amazing institution of all time if they were able to teach me how to take apart a car engine and put it back together afterwards. So you've got these cool options to choose from to fulfill these requirements. Then in this last bucket, you're going to have some electives. So another beauty of being at a liberal arts institution is it's a place you don't have to sacrifice. I think most students who knew me during my time at Hope probably thought I was a theater or a music major, when actually I was an English major. But I took so many theater and music courses because I had these available credits. So I think that's another neat thing at being at an institution like this. I also quickly want to touch on the advantages of being at a smaller institution. So we have roughly 3,200 students, average class size 20 to 25 students, 11-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So this is a relational place. I always tell students that if you're looking for an institution where you can skip class and no one's going to notice that you were gone, this is probably not the right fit for you, because this is a place you're going to be known by your peers, but also by your professors, faculty members, staff members. Every faculty member at Hope is required to hold office hours, but I'll be honest with you, during my time as a student, I couldn't tell you when a single professor's office hours were. And it's not because I was lazy and didn't take advantage of those, but it's because my professors were always accessible. If I was having an issue, I knew I could go to them, no matter if they were in office hours or not. And I think that's another beauty of being at a smaller institution. Now, I think there is sometimes a misconception with smaller liberal arts colleges that maybe you sacrifice a little bit in terms of the level of academics that you're going to get. What I love is that this is a prestigious academic institution in the context of this smaller faith-based liberal arts package. We have over 90 majors, minors, and pre-professional programs, accreditation across the board. Just to kind of show you the wide breadth of strength, let's look at research, for example. Undergraduate research, a big part of who we are at Hope. We are consistently ranked in the top 20 of institutions across the country and across institution types for undergraduate research. That's along schools like your top tier institutions like MIT, Northwestern, Harvard, Yale, these schools that are these R1 research institutions. We have similar opportunities at Hope. Our medical school acceptance rate is double the national average. We're one of the few liberal arts colleges to be fully accredited in all of the arts, music, theater, dance, studio art. So whatever your interest, you're going to find a strong academic area. Another piece of this academic experience is this idea of experiential learning, or taking your learning outside of the classroom and having an experience. So maybe this plays out with research, which we talked about. Maybe it's an internship component, whether that's in Holland or doing Chicago semester, where you're having an internship in the city of Chicago or Philadelphia or New York or Washington, D.C. Or maybe you're taking advantage of our study abroad experiences. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because I know every school has study abroad, but just want to acknowledge we're one of them. About 50% of our students will go off campus at some point in their experience. I would encourage you, if you can do it, go for a full semester. But let's say you're loving your time at Hope and in Holland and you don't want to leave for a full semester. Maybe you're taking advantage of one of our 1 month programs. That's what I did. So we've got these experiences, these May, June, and July terms. I did a June term in Liverpool, England. I actually was able to, at this time I was studying education, and I was able to do a field placement in John Lennon's old high school. I don't know if y'all know John Lennon. He's a Beatle, pretty cool. I'm not that old. It's before my time too, but I'm still a fan. It was a pretty neat experience. And then the next summer, I actually had the opportunity to do a May term on an Indian reservation in South Dakota. Very different experience. That one, again, I was working in a school system. But I think that really highlights just the wide breadth of experiences you have and cultural immersion you can have through these off-campus experiences. And another way we can do this is through immersion trips, which is housed under our campus ministries umbrella. And I'm going to let Allison tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, great. So for the next few minutes, we'll hop into some student life at Hope. And just part of our student life at Hope and our campus community is the campus ministries and faith life at Hope. So earlier I might have mentioned, I actually think I forgot to mention that we're a faith-based institution. So Hope's a Christian school. It's a big part of who we are, and it's important for you to know about. So at Hope, we have chapel services on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10:30 to about 10:50. So they're 20 minutes long, and you'll never have a class during that time. So you're always available to go. But the thing about Hope chapels at Hope is that none of them are mandatory. So it's up to the student how much you want to engage with campus ministries, how often you want to go to chapel, if you want to go at all. It's really up to you because none of it is mandatory. So even though none of our chapel services have attendance taken, we still have over 1,200 students who attend each chapel service. So in that picture, if you look past the guitars, that's our chapel. And picture it absolutely packed. These are pre-COVID times we're talking about, people standing in the aisles, sitting in the aisles, all the way up to the balcony. There are so many people that attend, and the coolest part when you're there is that everybody who is there wants to be there and has chosen to go that day. So nobody's on their phone, nobody's doing homework, everyone's really engaged with what's going on. And there's so much positive energy and exciting energy at those chapel services. On Sunday nights, we have longer services called The Gathering, and that's a full-length service. Every single one of our chapels starts with worship by our student worship band and then a message by one of our chaplains. In my experience as a Hope student, I really enjoyed engaging with the campus ministries. I'd say I had like a third of friends who went to chapel all the time, never missed a day. I had a third who went time to time, and that's where I fell in. And then I had a third of friends who probably never went at all. So I really want to hit home that it's up to you how much you want to be a part of this at Hope. But if it's something that's on your radar and something you're looking for, you do not have to look hard or look far in order to find it. Chapel's just one part of campus ministries at Hope. We also have Bible studies that you can be involved in. I loved leading a Bible study with my roommate our junior year of college. That was such a great way to meet some new students, some underclassmen, and just some new people around campus. And then also, as Skylar mentioned, immersion trips. So each spring break, Hope sends out a number of immersion trips, both domestically and internationally. So these are week-long kind of serving trips, but mostly focused on learning about a culture that's different from your own. So I had a friend who went to Denver for 3 immersion trips over her time at Hope, and another friend who went to Nashville. And in these immersion trips, they worked with homeless populations, and they had a really great time, learning how to engage the homeless, something that a lot of people tend to walk past. They now have the skills of how to get to know the homeless and how to serve them best. My senior year at Hope, I went to Jamaica with an immersion trip. So there were about 15 students or so, and we stayed in a deaf village for a week. We worked on projects for the village with the deaf people who lived there, but then we went to a couple of deaf schools and played on the playground with them. But the coolest part for me was being able to sign with these people, use this skill that I had learned, and be able to hear about their stories and learn about what it means to be deaf in Jamaica and how that's so different than being deaf in America. So that was a week that really placed a stamp on my life, something I think about quite often, and I loved being a part of. So that's just a taste of our campus ministries. We have an amazing campus ministries building right in the middle of our campus, brand new, for you to get to know our chaplains, get to know our staff, and just find a deep community at Hope. There's a number of ways to get plugged in on our campus, and another one is our Center for Diversity and Inclusion. So we like to call this a safe and significant place on our campus. And the CDI really aims to help students explore their identity, but also learn about others' identities as well. And they do that in a number of ways. One way is through mentoring and building relationships with students, but another way is through our multicultural student organizations. So we have quite a few on our campus. To name a couple: the Black Student Union, the Asian Student Organization. And these are clubs on our campus that you can be a part of if you identify with that culture, but also be a part of if you want to learn more about that culture. So I loved going to the Latino student organization Salsa and Salsa Night. I think I went every single year. It was the coolest thing, where the people who regularly were a part of the Latino student organization would make salsa that comes from their families. So their family's authentic salsa recipes. And they would have a whole table with chips and salsa, better than the stuff I just ate for dinner, that's for sure. But then we would spend the rest of the night also learning salsa dances. And I was a business and dance major at Hope, so I absolutely loved Salsa and Salsa Night. It's a highlight. I loved going and just learning some new stuff, learning some new dances. It was really, really fun. So there are lots of organizations on our campus for you to explore your own identity and learn about others. And then CDI also has a program called the Phelps Scholars Program. So this is a 1-year living, learning, residential experience for our first-year students, where you would come in and live with all Phelps Scholars in your residence hall. This group of students would take one class together, their first-year seminar, which changes every single year. But Jiki was a Phelps Scholar when she was at Hope, and her class was about multicultural storytelling. So you take this one class together, but then you're able to take what you've learned in this class and bring it back to the place you live. So you're building these really deep and intentional relationships with the people you're living and learning with. So Phelps Scholars really aims to help you build a community and learn about people and learn about people's experiences that are probably different from yours. So if you're looking to build some really deep community your first year in college and you love to explore other cultures, the Phelps Scholars Program might be for you. Awesome. To keep going down this student life, all the fun stuff that you get to do in college. Athletics are huge at Hope. Jiki was the star of our women's basketball team. We have D3 athletics at Hope, and we actually hold the D3 attendance record for men's and women's basketball. Our women's basketball team was on track to win the championship last March, so they're ready to get back out on the court and defend that great season they had. So whether you're looking to play a sport at Hope or you just love to cheer on the teams, there's lots of opportunities to have this big school athletic experience, even at a small school. So if you're looking to play, we'd love for you to reach out so we can get you connected with the right people, but also know there's lots of opportunities to be a fan as well. And if you want to play for fun, lots of intramural sports around at Hope. I am the last athletic person you'd ever want on your team, but still played intramural soccer and intramural basketball with my friends. Just a great way to stay active and have some fun. Some more traditions at Hope as well would be the pull and NYKirk. So these are two things you might not have heard of before, but the pull is actually the longest standing college tradition in the nation. And I like to explain it as a tug of war. But if you look at that picture, it's clearly not your average tug of war. This is a 3-hour tug of war that takes place over the Black River in Holland, and these teams practice for over 3 weeks for this event. This one-day tug of war, they practice for 3 weeks. They dig trenches in the ground. It's clearly super aggressive and competitive. I went to the first pole meeting my freshman year thinking, hey, I want to get involved in this. This could totally be for me. And we all walk in this room, they close the doors, they turn off the lights, you can't see the sunlight, they start chanting. This might be a secret, I'm telling you. I might not even be, this might be a secret. And I knew immediately this was not for me. I'm not this kind of competitive type. So it was time for me to find a different tradition at Hope. And for me, that was NYKirk. So this was another competition. Both these traditions take place between our even and odd year students. So that's if you graduate Hope in an even year like I did, 2018, you're an even year. If you graduate Hope in odd year, like Jiki did in 2017, you're an odd year. So technically we were rivals. So we would compete against each other in the poll, but then also in NYKirk. And NYKirk is more of a friendly competition between song, play, and oration between the 2 years. And I had a great time meeting some new friends in NYKirk. And my parents loved coming out and watching the performance in the fall as well. And lastly, some student organizations. I'm sure all of you are involved in some sort of club or activity in high school, and we don't want you to have to give that up when you go away to college either. We really want our students to be engaged in the classroom, but also be active part of our campus community as well. So there's over 80 student organizations for you to be a part of. I like to say we've got anything from Greek life to geek life, and that's a self-proclaimed club, Geek Life. Outdoor Adventure Club, Dance Marathon, which is a huge fundraiser for the Helen DeVos Children's Hospital, and that's the picture you see there, where teams sign up to dance for 24 hours to raise money for Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. And those are just a handful of clubs. If there's something you love to do in high school, there's a chance that you'll absolutely be able to continue that at Hope. And if you don't see it a part of a list or a part of a fair, you have the opportunity to create it for yourself as well. If you're not so much into organized student activities and you're just looking for chances to have fun with your friends, I want you to know that at Hope, over 90% of our students will stay on campus over the weekends. So if you're an out-of-state student, you certainly won't be alone at Hope on the weekends. There's so much to do. Our Student Activities Committee is one of the organizations that'll put on weekend activities every single weekend, whether that's a movie in our Pine Grove, which is the grassy area in the middle of our campus, or a trip to Grand Rapids to go to Sky Zone. There's always something going on. My favorite would definitely be Fall Festival, which happened every fall at Hope when we were students. There's cider and donuts, a petting zoo, hayride, but my favorite was the line dancing. Every single year, my friends and I went out and absolutely tore up the line dancing. We have so many great memories, and we really do still talk about it to this day. So lots to do at Hope, lots to get involved in, and often hard to choose what to do. So that just gives you a taste of what our campus community is like.
All right, I get to talk about the fun stuff: admissions, financial aid, scholarship. If you do have any questions on student organizations, or you're wondering if there's something that you're interested in and whether or not we have it at Hope, feel free to drop that in the Q&A. We're going to have some time at the end of this to answer some questions. So certainly would love to shed some light on that. But I do want to talk about the logistics of coming to Hope. How do you get here? And what does that process look like? So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about our admissions timeline. A few key dates on this slide, one being August 1st. So it's in the rear view mirror. This has happened already, but this is when our applications go live. So there are two different ways to apply to Hope College. You've got the common application, which if you're not familiar with that, that's a platform that a lot of schools use. Over 700 institutions are a part of the common application. The beauty with this is you fill out this application one time. You might have to do some supplemental stuff for the different institutions, but then you can, list different schools that you want to send it to and send it multiple places. Makes it really easy. We at Hope have very few additional requirements beyond the common application. No application fee, so feel free to add us to the list and shoot your application our way. There is also a Hope specific application that you can fill out. This is an option. So if you're like, I don't want to do the common app, I'm only focused on Hope, that's great news. You can do this Hope specific application, but I usually encourage students, fill out the common app. You're probably going to be applying to another school that's a part of it. Now, the next question I usually get is, well, what are you looking for in an applicant? What's the secret sauce to get into Hope College? And like many schools, we take a holistic approach to application review. If you've sat in on other sessions like this, or you've talked to other admissions folks like me, you're probably starting to hate the word holistic because we all use it. It's nice and vague, doesn't give you a lot of clear info. I'm going to try to break that down a little bit so you can understand a little bit more what that means. So on the surface, it means that we're going to take a lot of different factors into consideration when we're making decisions. The first threshold is this academic piece, right? Making sure that you're going to be successful academically when you come to Hope. So first thing I do when I get an application is I try to understand the context. So your counselor will do a really nice job of sending us a school report, which will give us all this different information on your high school. Number of APs, are you an IP diploma school? What's the percentage of students that go on to a four-year institution? All of this stuff helps me understand the context that you're learning in. Because the fact is, your experience in high school is probably not the same as someone else's experience at a different high school, and you shouldn't be evaluated as if they are. So first thing I do is understand that context. Then I take a look at your transcript, and I look at not only the grades that you've gotten, but have you challenged yourself? Have you taken a class in these core subject areas every year? All those things that suggest to us that you're going to be able to handle the rigor of Hope College academics, right? Another piece of this academic evaluation has always been test scores, right? ACT, SAT, how does that weigh in? How does that predict how well you're going to perform in college? I'm sure that you've all heard of this, but like many institutions, this year we've made the decision to go test optional. Let me say this is one of many ways your life, I'm sure, has been dramatically impacted, like all of ours has been, by our current world in the COVID-19 pandemic. I know that testing has been hard to come by in terms of test dates getting canceled. Many of you maybe took the test early and you were hoping to retake it. You haven't had the opportunity to do that. So just know we've gone test optional. You can apply to Hope without an ACT or an SAT score, and you can get an admissions decision, and you can get a scholarship decision without that test score. We'll talk more about that in a minute. If you do submit that, historically, middle 50%, so that means there's 25% above this, 25% below this, have had a 25 to a 30 ACT, and the average SAT has been around 1,100. Again, if you're not right in that range, that's okay. And if you don't even have a test score, that's okay too. But hopefully that kind of sheds a little bit of light on what that looks like. The other pieces that weigh in on this decision, extracurriculars, quality over quantity. I think the Common App gives you like 24 spaces to fill in activities. None of us think you've been involved in that many things. Ultimately, I want to see where you're having an impact, right? And an impact on your community. And that can mean something different to different students, right? Maybe it's an impact on your school community. Maybe you're the president of the student body. Maybe you're the captain of a sports team. Maybe you've just been on the cross-country team for 4 years. Maybe it's a impact on your local community. Maybe you've done an Eagle Scout project. Maybe you've started a nonprofit organization. Maybe it's an impact on your family community. Maybe you babysit your siblings every day after school because your parents work. All of that matters, right? It's quality of involvement that we're looking for. And I think all of that suggests that. And then the last piece for us is these essays, right? These writing prompts where you get to share a little bit about yourself in your voice. I'm happy to shed some light on some tips. I've read a lot of essays over the years, but what I want to emphasize is that I take this seriously. I think most admissions representatives do, because this is our opportunity to hear from you. And I think that's important. And ultimately, I want to learn something about you. I want to know what about this story that you're telling me or this thing that you're writing about makes you a compelling applicant for Hope College. That's kind of the key piece there. And certainly feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to shed more light on that. Now, the next thing that I want to quickly highlight are just some of our key deadlines. November 1st, that's our early notification deadline. It's not a binding decision. So if you check out some schools that have what's called like early decision or even like early action, a lot of times there are some contractual agreements that you're making by applying to those institutions, like that you'll withdraw all your other apps and you'll enroll if you get admitted. Not the case for us. This is just when we send out our first round of decisions. So if you apply by November 1st, you're going to get a decision letter by Thanksgiving. So when you're sitting at the Thanksgiving table, it's your turn to say what you're thankful for. You can be like, Mom, I am so thankful for Skylar Adams, my admissions rep at Hope College, because I'm going to Hope and I am so excited. It'll be great. After that, we're on rolling admissions. So if you apply after November 1st, generally speaking, about a month later, you'll get a decision. Last big deadline in this admissions timeline, May 1st, that's a big one for everybody, National Decision Day. That's when you shoot me a text and you're like, hey, Skylar, I'm coming to Hope. And it'll be great. Now, I do want to shed a little bit more light on the money, because I know this is an important piece of this too. Some of this I won't go super in depth into, but again, you're going to have our contact info at the end. Reach out to us. I'd love to have as long as of a conversation as you need to understand this process. But generally speaking, we'll talk a little bit about FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, and then a little bit on how scholarships work at Hope. So October 1st, you can start working on this FAFSA form. Maybe you're familiar with this, maybe you're not, but essentially what this is it's a document that you and your family fill out, where you list like parent income, assets, all that good stuff. And based on that information, the government's going to give you a number called the EFC, the expected family contribution. And this is how much the government is saying you should be able to contribute to your college education. Now, usually, not always, sometimes a student gets an EFC of 0. And then it's like, oh, okay, so this all should be covered. Maybe you get an EFC of $10,000, but the cost of attendance is $50,000. So it's like, okay, so you should be expected to pay this, but the rest should be made up of some sort of financial aid package. And on the rare occasion, there's a student where the EFC says you should be able to pay the full cost. Now, Hope tuition, like a lot of institutions like us, we have a high sticker price. That's a reality. Most private institutions are going to have a cost that's going to seem kind of high, especially compared to like public institutions. So for us, our sticker price, when you look at tuition, room, and board, is just under $50,000. Now, let's say that EFC is 0, like I said, or let's say that EFC is $10,000. That's how much the government's saying you should be able to pay for college. But you've got like a $40,000 gap here. Where is that money going to come from? That's where this financial aid package comes into play. So based on that FAFSA form and that EFC, we're going to put together a package. It's going to include like Hope Grant, so that's money you don't have to pay back. Maybe some work study, so some potential opportunities for you to work to help pay for some of that tuition. Maybe some small loans that you would have to maybe pay back after your college experience. And then there's this scholarship piece, and that's the sweet spot, right? That Hope Grant aid and the scholarship, that's what we want a lot of, because that's money that's just money in the bank. You don't have to pay that back. For you all, assuming that everyone who's watching this is not a Michigan resident, right away you're going to get an out-of-state scholarship. So every student who applies from out of the state of Michigan gets a $5,000 scholarship called our out-of-state scholarship. So right away I can tell you you're not going to pay the full price of attendance. Another way that we come up with this scholarship money is what we call merit aid. So this is academic scholarships. Our academic scholarships start at a 3.2 GPA, and the range is $5,000 to $24,000 a year. So wherever you fall in that category based on your academic portfolio that you send to us, That's going to be money that you're going to get as part of this financial aid package that you don't have to pay back. Other awards that exist, DAA Scholarship, Distinguished Artist Awards, which is money for the arts, so performing arts and studio art. We have some awards based on identity, all of these things that come into play when we're thinking about how to create this financial aid package. So my biggest advice, take home on the financial aid piece, the scholarship piece, is even when you see these high sticker prices, the odds are that's not what you're going to pay. And sometimes you find that it's even cheaper to go to one of these private institutions than it is to go to your state institution because of the amount of aid that's available. So go through the process, wait till you get that financial aid package, because that's when you're really going to know what that cost looks like. The only other deadline on here to highlight is just that February 1st. That's the last day to update your information for us. So to send a new transcript, to submit a new test score. If you are submitting test scores as part of these scholarship decisions, again, you don't have to. That's the last day that you can do that by in order to maybe enhance your scholarship based on your academic information. All right, y'all. I think that kind of takes us to the end of the logistics, which gives us about 10 minutes for questions, which is great. So I'm going to ask Jiki to come back on here and maybe read us some of the questions that were asked.
Absolutely. Allison, Skylar, thanks so much for this dynamic presentation. A lot of great things about Hope College here. So we've got some good questions already. We have the first question that says, if I apply with my current ACT score, but end up receiving a higher score after sending in my application, can I still send the new score somehow?
Great question. Allison, you want me to take this one?
Sure.
So you most certainly can. So if you submit an application with a current test score, and then let's say you're able to sit for another test after that, or you get your results after that, certainly send that our way. We will reevaluate. And like I said, for that scholarship piece, you have until February to submit new test scores. So that would give you the December test date as the last one you could sit for in order to get those scores to us by February. So certainly I would encourage that. And not just test scores, updated information, whether that's a mid-year report that includes a new transcript, maybe you get an additional letter of recommendation, what have you. Certainly always feel free to pass those along to us, even if you've already hit submit on that application.
Awesome, thanks for that, Skylar. We have another question here. I'm a little biased about this one that Allison may have pointed out towards earlier, but what percentage of students play sports at Hope?
Jiki, I feel like you should take this one away. Tell us a little bit about being a student athlete.
Thanks, Allison.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so about 20% of our students at Hope play sports. And if you can think about that, another 20% of our students also are involved in Greek life. So that kind of gives you an idea of the participation level. But student athlete life at Hope is actually pretty fun because you have great community involvement with your classmates and the student body, professors and faculty, but also the greater Holland and West Michigan community. And we're also, a very competitive school. So as you can hear from, Allison's words, we compete heavily and highly at the Division III level, and it's a lot of fun. So, our professors are great. They definitely will walk by student athletes and make sure that they have everything that they need. But being a student athlete at Hope, you're not going to be alone. You're not a small community. It's very prevalent. So you'll run into a lot of folks like you.
Yeah,
and I'll just keep going.
I'll just add, Jiki, really quickly. Not that I can speak to the student athlete experience. I was a theater guy, so that was not my jam while I was at Hope. But what I love about that 20%, and you highlighted too that Greek life is 20%. A lot of institutions, particularly smaller institutions, I feel like sometimes they have like a really concrete identity. Like 85% of our students play sports, or like, if you don't do Greek life, you're not going to have a social life at this school. And that's just so not the case for us. I think what's cool is that we've got these good sized communities, 20%, that's a significant amount of our population. But it's not like if you come to Hope and you don't play sports, or you come to Hope and you don't play Greek life, you're not going to have a good experience. And I think that's the beauty of this place, is that it's got something for everybody. So I just wanted to add that. I think that yeah, 20% is a great number. And it's cool that you're going to be able to find your home on campus.
Awesome. And I've got another one here. Are you having in-person visits or virtual visits?
I can go ahead and take that. Great question. I mean, how can you be expected to choose a college if you can't go see it? So we are offering a mix of both online and in-person visits. So this is just one type of online visit we have. We also have more in-depth open houses online taking place throughout the fall. So you can be a part of those either the entire night, or if you feel like, hey, I've gotten a good grasp, but I'd love to hear more about the education department, or I'd love to hear more about the pre-health professions. There's opportunities to drop in some academic sessions online as well. So you can see, yep, the visit information there. hope.edu/hope@home. But we do offer now in-person visits as well to our campus. So those would be individual visits for you and your family only. So keeping them small so we can keep them safe. But you'd be able to have a campus tour with one of our tour guides, and then the opportunity for an admissions appointment. Now, if you're from Illinois, we are your admissions reps and we'd love to speak with you. So we can do that admissions appointment like this over Zoom, but then you can get on campus, be able to explore what Hope is like, and then also what Holland's like. Check out downtown, check out the beach. So there's opportunities for you both online and in person, whatever you're most comfortable with.
Awesome. And we might have time for two more, but let's do this one quickly. How did Hope prepare you for life after college?
I like that question. Oh goodness, I feel like we should collaborate on this one, Skylar.
Sounds good. You want to start us out?
Yeah, I'd love to. One thing that Hope did for me to really help prepare me for the future was this whole idea Skylar talked about of the liberal arts education. It really helps you to be an adaptable person, which I have found to be the most important skill in these real world jobs. So whether it's this job or a previous job I've had, being adaptable has truly set me apart from others that I were applying against or anything like that. People were able to come to me because they know, oh, she can figure it out, have some time to be able to get this thing done that I need to get done, but also then go on with her daily tasks as well. So I think Hope really prepared me to be an adaptable person in the workplace, in my everyday life, just being able to be flexible and be, a well-rounded individual that can handle a lot of responsibilities. I'd say I got there mostly through having internship opportunities. So our Career and Calling Center helped me with my resume. I have a very vivid memory of doing a mock interview where they videotaped me and then made me watch it and critiqued me on it. But that helped me land some awesome internships, both in Chicago and in the Holland area. All of those things helping me create the skills of being, a good coworker, a good team player.
Yeah, Allison, I mean, you nailed it. Not a ton to add, but just, a lot of times people ask, what are your favorite parts of Hope? And, I usually rattle off like 2 or 3 things, but one of the things I highlight is opportunity. I was fortunate enough to work for an institution, top 10 institution. I worked in their admissions office. So I was able to see like what opportunities are available to these students. And, in comparing it to my experience at Hope and my time working with students at Hope, what's crazy is like we have pretty much all those same opportunities, amazing internships, research, these things that you're going to be able to do that are going to make you marketable when you leave Hope. And I think that's an important piece. I also think the focus on vocation. So not just this idea of putting you in a job, putting you in a job that is meant for you, really talking to you about your skills and having intentional conversations about not just like where you can be, but where you're supposed to be. I think that's a really unique piece of Hope too. I'm amazed when I think about what my friends are doing now since we graduated. I've been out for 7 years now, and yeah, to see I have friends who have acted on Broadway. I have friends that have gone on to top tier graduate programs. I myself was able to go study at Northwestern when I left Hope. These aren't unheard of stories. We are setting students up for success. 95% are placed in a job or graduate school in something related to their field of study within 6 months of graduation. So I think this is something we do a really good job at. And I think, like Alice said, I get excited talking about it because I think it's a pretty cool thing.
Awesome. So you both actually answered both questions all together right there. So fabulous.
Beautiful. Well, I think that is all the time we have. We've gotten the Oscar music kicking us off stage with the slide. But thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Please reach out. Let us know how we can be helpful. And we look forward to working with you.
Go Hope.
Thank you, Skylar, Allison, and Gigi. That was awesome. I just want to thank you all again for joining us this evening. Just as a few reminders, as you close out of the window this evening, you're going to have a very quick 4-question survey that will appear. Please take that survey as it helps us improve these sessions and make sure that they are geared towards what you're most interested in. And another reminder that you can sign up for more sessions like these. If you thought this was really useful, please explore IACAC.org and sign up for more sessions. Or if you'd like to go back and watch this session again, feel free to go back once again to IACAC.org and watch the recordings. But thank you all for being here this evening, and take care. Bye-bye.